We are.
The Girls Who Gab.
I'm Kassie.
And I'm Bayley.
And today's episode is all about crime and true crime or fiction, but like how we interact with the different ways to
Like how we cope with it. No, how we cope with it and like what effects it has or like doesn't have on us.
Yes, because it's really, it's an interesting topic on how one different we are, but then also where they intertwine.
Mm-hmm.
And then also how it's changed throughout the years too is, I think, going to be a fun time.
I know. That's why I'm really excited to do this episode.
Mm-hmm. I think we have talked a little bit about this maybe in the past about like with you becoming a parent and how that's changed. I think we've like mentioned it, but I'm excited to like really have an episode about it.
No, me too. I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what are you drinking today?
I have some Yogi Detox tea.
Love that.
And the little like quote on the tea bag says, "Happiness is actually an art of living, which is in us."
Very nice quote for today's episode.
It always gives me a little thing. I know. Why is that?
No, I like that. I like that it comes with a quote. It's like opening a Dove chocolate and it has a quote for you.
Mm-hmm.
What about you? Chocolate. I'm drinking water on one side, and then I am drinking this sparkling blush, like apple cider from Martinelli's.
Did you buy more? Because I
my new fave.
Highly doubt that that's the same bottle from the other day.
Not the same bottle. Not the same bottle whatsoever. No, I just bought it today, actually.
Oh, nice. I do love a good Martinelli's.
Yeah, me too.
Do you have a pour one out? Cheers to that.
I do, but go ahead. We'll do our cheers first, and you go first, and then we'll do our pours, and I'll end the pour.
Okay.
Because it kind of goes into today's episode.
Okay, perfect. So my cheers to that then this week is that I like got everything out to start really focusing on like restudying for interpreting and stuff, because I found out that I can take the written exam soon-ish. So they're now doing them. They're just not doing them as often as they used to be. So I can go and take it. So I need to like sign up for that, but I need to study for the test first. So I like started bringing everything out. And last week I really like started using my work day when it's slow to start studying. So I'm excited. I feel like I've like hopped. I'm in like the baby side of the pool still on being prepared.
That's exciting. You've been posting a lot more sign language stuff on your channel too. On your page, Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel like I don't know what, like, I mean, one is I think in the past I've been kind of like, oh, I don't want to post any, like reposting any of this stuff because it's like, oh, no one will be interested in this. But then it's like, one, what I'm like wanting to do for work, so I'm interested in it. Mm-hmm. And two, like always better to have more people learn something than to not have anyone learn something.
Right.
I'm a big proponent of that. So I'm like, why am I not posting this stuff when I like can?
That's exactly what reminds me kind of like of the Black Lives Matter movement, how like people like were afraid to post of something, you know, whether it be a quote or an image or a video clip or something to do with the movement, and they would be kind of just worried of what others like are like, why, you know, I'm not Black, why would I post about this or something like that. So that's what it kind of reminds me of, that you just have to do it and like, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
My cheers to that is that I had a really good one, and I'm really upset, but I guess I'm just going to say this, is that it's Halloween this weekend, and I'm really excited because that means on Sunday it's November 1st, and I Christmas decorate on November 1st, and I am so excited for that. And that's like very minimal cheers to that, but yeah, I had a so much better one. So much better.
So much better one. We're
Okay.
doing good things with our words today. It's going down.
Kassie and I did not remember we were going to record until like 35 minutes ago. So
Yes, that happened.
yeah, we're not prepared. No makeup. I
Mm-mm.
do have a bra on, but I didn't prior to 5
I
minutes.
have a sports bra on. I don't even have a real one on.
Support. That's okay.
Yeah, because normally my like work day is I wear leggings and a sports bra under my nice blouse, and then immediately take the blouse off after work to start working out like right where I work, because I work right at this desk and then I work out right there.
Turn around, you're there. Yeah.
Yeah. And so today you texted me and I was like, oh shit, like I really wanted to work out. I was like in the mode of like, I have 35 minutes and then I'm going to put that workout playlist on and like go to it. And then I was like, nope, not anymore. Now I have to do things that I said I was going to do.
Yep. Now these plans are not happening.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
That's funny. That's a thing. Okay. What's your pour?
Yeah. So my pour one out is kind of just like a feeling. It's not like anything that happened. It's like, so I finished the yoga teacher training and I am sort of starting to like work on all of the studying, which is what I was just talking about. My cheers to that. But like, I'm feeling like, I don't know. I'm just like in this place of like, I don't know what to do next. Yeah. Like what to be doing. Like, I don't know. Everything just feels like I'm still waiting for everything rather than like I'm in something. So it's just been kind of like, not really anxiety, but just like, what the hell am I doing?
Like confusion.
Yeah, just feeling like out of place, or like I said earlier, like I don't know what my next step is. So then I know that I at the same time like contradicted that with my cheers to that, because I do feel like I'm trying to take a next step. Yeah. But at the same time, even that feels like really far away still, because it doesn't feel like I'm in it. It just feels like I could be spending my time doing this. You know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it very well, but
yeah. No, I mean, that makes sense. It makes sense. Like you're not there yet, so you don't have all the answers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
That's whatever.
Yeah.
A thing.
Okay. My pour one out, like I said, it kind of like goes to and relate of what this episode is. So my pour one out is that quick little backstory. And when I say quick, I'm literally going to say for 2 seconds that in the past, I have experienced a break-in in my apartment when we lived in our apartment. And this is a little over, probably about a year and a half ago. This is when this happened. Homeless lady broke into my apartment, started taking a shower, and it was just really weird. And it was just me and my daughter home. My husband was at work. And so it was just really, really terrifying. Well, for those of you that live in Southern California, the Santa Ana winds are going through like crazy right now. Not currently, actually. But the past couple of days, it was really nuts. And so it kind of like spooked. I don't watch the news, and so I don't watch the weather. I very rarely do I look at the weather app on my phone unless like I'm going somewhere and I plan to be like in a different city on that day, and I kind of want to know what I'm looking for or going into, I should say. Well, so needless to say, on Sunday night, I didn't look at the weather app or watch the news. So Sunday night when we were sleeping, we heard glass break in our house. And so it was just very, like, just a terrifying experience. And I'm totally calm about it now. But, like, I was screaming, Andre was screaming while holding a bat because we didn't know if it was, like, a break-in or a burglary or, anything else, God forbid. And so we were just really terrified. Amelia was crying. And we, like, ran out of our house and, like, sat in the truck. And we called 911 because we were scared to look anywhere in the house. And we're so new to this neighborhood. We're just scared, So we called 911. All the cops came. There was like five of them. And then they come in. We had left our front door like completely wide open. And so all that. And the winds weren't even that bad that night yet. Like it was like the beginning stages of when the winds came. So they're going through our house and they come out and they were like, it was just the umbrella. Like the umbrella went through your window. And we were like, oh my gosh, we shouldn't have left the umbrella out. We learned our lesson, but it was just very terrifying to experience something like that. and especially going through something similar or like a break-in in the past, it's just like what our minds immediately went to. And so we were scared beyond belief. And that was at like 3:30 a.m. and we did not sleep until Andre took a nap at 11 and I took a nap at 2 for like 45 minutes each. And then we went to bed at 7 o'clock last night. And it was like insane. And so it was a little scary. So like this morning he left, he opened, and I was like, okay, but the daylight doesn't come. It comes up a little later right now, and then it's still a little bit cloudy, so it's gloomy, so it's not like bright right away. So I was just like up until it got sunny, and then I was like, okay, I can close my eyes for a little bit. But then Amelia was up, so I didn't really sleep good last night either.
Yeah, because it only happened 2 nights ago, right?
Yeah, it happened.
So that was the first night after that?
Sunday night. Yeah, so last night was the first night after that.
Dang. Yeah, I mean, freaking scary, although I feel like I would be really embarrassed once you realize that, like, it was just the umbrella and then all these cops are here and you're just like, sorry.
Yeah,
I would have been so embarrassed.
You're right. But we weren't really embarrassed. The guy, so before the first officer that got here, he was like, I'm going to wait for my partner and then we'll go in and blah, blah, blah. And we were like, yeah, like, we don't even know what it could be. There's no signs of humans. We heard no voice. Like, we were being straight up honest. Like, we just straight ran into the house. Like, we didn't investigate anything. We just kind of got ourselves and our daughter and left. So we don't know what it was. You know, obviously it's windy. I don't know. He's like, yeah, like we've had a lot of calls tonight of power outages and branches through windows or houses. So, you know, keep that in mind. And so like, we were like, okay. And then like when they came out and told us, I wasn't embarrassed. I was just like, good. I think because it was so traumatic though, like when it happened, I was like, oh, thank God. Like, I don't care. Yeah. It could like, at least you just felt relief.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just felt relief. I wasn't embarrassed, but even now I'm just like, yeah, whatever. We left our umbrella out. It is what it is.
Yeah. So, yeah. And luckily it wasn't like, I mean, I know that it was like not the, it wasn't like cheap to fix it, but at least it wasn't like your big sliding glass window or something.
That's what I said.
That would have been bad.
That's what I said. It was like our hidden laundry room back door, which was, it's like out of all the doors, it's like the oldest style door in the house. And so like the window was super old and tacky. So like we upgraded.
Good reason to get a new window.
I don't know. Yeah. So it was really nice. And they fixed the screen and we got to fix that day. And that was that.
That's good.
So yeah.
Before we get into this, like really into the topic of this episode, I have 2 funny people in my house stories that are like an in-between of these 2 things. So years ago when I was still in high school, or maybe like my first year in college, so I was still living at my mom's house, my parents' house, my mom and my stepdad, but I was home alone. It was early-ish in the day. It was like mid-morning. And so I'm like still in my PJs. I had nowhere to be that day except for like work at like 3 p.m. or something. And all of a sudden I had a knock on the door, which I'm like, what do you mean you're knocking on my door? Because anybody. No. And it was like a weekday too. It was like, there's no reason for anybody to be at the front door. So I go and look, and we all had a bay window at the same time so I could see, and it's a cop in like a black SWAT uniform. So it's not even like a regular cop. And so I open up the door and I'm like, what the fuck do you want? Like, what are you here for? And he's like, hi, we need you to leave. And I'm like, excuse me, what? And basically he tells me I need to leave the neighborhood and like immediately. I was like, can I change? Like, I'm like unshowered, nothing. And he's like, no, you need to leave right now. And I'm like, okay, well, I need to like grab my stuff. And he like doesn't explain anything. He just says we need to leave. And then kind of like so I go and grab my stuff. And then as I'm leaving, I'm like, what's going on? Like, why are you making me leave my house? And he said that some guy had like run into our neighborhood after doing something illegal, and I don't remember what. And he was like hiding somewhere in the neighborhood. So they were making everyone leave so that if there was like gunshots or anything, nobody would get hurt. And it ended up being fine. But like by the time I leave my house, then I see the whole SWAT team. It wasn't just one guy. It was like the whole.
Oh, snap.
So then I leave and I'm like, I don't know who to go to. Like, where do I go?
Yeah, you're PJs. Like walking. You're like, wow.
I could drive at the time, so I like went and took my car. But I called my friend, was like, hi, I know it's early, but like, come let me in.
I don't have anywhere to go. I just got kicked out
of my own house. What the heck? So yeah, so that happened. And then relatively recently, like it was the year that Lauren lived with us. So my sister was living here. Me and my sister are on the couch, and our front door is like directly to the left of the couch, like maybe like 10 feet away from it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden our door, so Matt is home, Lauren's home. Me and Lauren are in the living room watching TV. Matt is in his room, in our room. And all of a sudden the door opens and this young black dude comes just like waltzing in. And then he looks up and we are looking at him. We're just like frozen on the couch. And he's like, oh shit. And he just like goes and closes the door. Because I figured out later he lived in the apartment right directly under us. So he just like went to the wrong floor and went to his apartment, but it was not his apartment.
Oh,
so we were like, oops, we forgot to lock the door.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so both of those have happened to me.
Oh, did you ever have an encounter with him after this?
No, I think that he didn't actually live there. Like, I think it's like his grandma or aunt or something that lives there. So I never really I see the woman, the older lady that lives there. She's lived there since before we lived there. So I interact with her all the time.
Okay.
But him in particular, I don't know that I've ever recognized him. And like, I feel like I would recognize him. We were like staring at each other when he's in my house.
That is hilarious. Oh my gosh.
It was terrible.
Hey, wrong place. Gotta go. Whoops.
Yeah, I don't think me and Lauren said a single thing. Like, we just like stared. We like froze. We did deer in the headlights.
Because like what else I mean, oh, I don't know.
What do you do?
I don't know, man.
And then he closed the door and me and Lauren just looked at each other and we're like, what
the heck?
Like, that was it. That was all that happened. We didn't know what to do after that.
That's hilarious. Sketchy, but laughing at it now.
Yeah, very weird. So let's get into the episode. Before we do, let's I kind of want to like trigger warning, I guess, like talking about true crime and maybe crime that freaks us out. So if you're sensitive at all to like talking about whatever that looks like, I don't even really know what specifically to trigger warn you for, but if crime is something that really upsets you, then maybe this isn't the episode for you. Not that we're going to get into like any gory details, but just
like I won't be going into depth. I'm kind of just going to be explaining like I mean, like Kassie said, and I've kind of mentioned, like, I'm different now that I have a family and a kid. So I watch different things, I listen to different things, and I totally am precautious when I do listen to those certain type of things. So, but yeah, no, good call, because I mean, what I'm going to be talking about is like child stuff. So like,
Yep, for sure. So with that, what do you want to start with?
I would like to start by saying I know that I've mentioned this exact thing before in the podcast, but I used to love and adore horror films, and then of course like all fictional, right? Yes.
Most usually.
Yeah, almost all of them actually. I don't think I really got into like documentaries until a couple years ago. So I was really strictly only the total fictionary, gory, and just the thrill of watching horror films. And then I kind of like grew up, and I didn't grow out of them. I got busy with life. I got busy with job and everything like that, and relationships. And so I kind of like stopped watching horror films. But I really loved my TV shows. I really loved the also fictional, but like the fictional TV shows about, crime and and same thing with the documentaries. Like I didn't really watch like, okay, for example, this is the first thing that came to my mind, but like Cops is a real life, like they're real life events that happen, and it's a TV show based on it. But the TV shows that I'm talking about is like, I mean, we talked about this in our TV and our what do we like to watch and stuff like that, but like Bones, CSI, NCIS, like I like stuff like that. And I still watch some of that now, but having a kid has definitely changed me to where I no longer watch horror films. And if I do, it's got to be in the morning time, complete sunlight out, and I have a full 10 to 12 hours to recover my mind. And I will probably still have a nightmare about it. It is what it is. And I will watch nothing with kids. I can't even listen to anything with kids. So now obviously there's podcasts, and I listen to, some crime podcasts as well, and they're all real life. And I can't listen to it. I just I freak out and I get emotional, and it's just not a thing for me anymore. And so it's interesting.
Yeah, that is really interesting because I think it's interesting because like I have my friend Rachel who also has like a son the same age as your daughter,
Mm-hmm.
and she also just recently has not a newborn anymore, but a young child, a baby.
Yeah.
And she still loves all of that. She watches and listens to
Amazing.
like all the crime podcasts. She and I, like, when we went down there earlier, like a few months ago, she was the one who was like, "Oh, you like crime stuff, right?" Because she also loves horror film just like you used to. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't do horror films. That's like my line. I can't
That
do
is so
anything
funny.
like Hostel or Saw. Matt tried to get me to watch Green Room like a year ago. It's some new horror film that at the time, and I like tried to sit through it, and I think I got through about 20 minutes, and I was like, not only do I need to not be in this room, but you need to turn this off. Like, it cannot be on in the house. Like, you need to turn it off. Like, I didn't even want to hear it. Like, I didn't
Oh
want to know that it
gosh.
was being played. I don't do horror, but she loves
Yeah.
horror movies, and then she also loves crime, like true crime stuff. So yeah, it's just it makes me wonder if anything will change for me when I eventually have kids, because I do love the true crime stuff and I love reading thrillers, which is something that I will give you
Yeah.
those listening like some recommendations.
I don't
But
think you'll change too much, honestly. I think you have that. I don't know. You don't have like a scared and anxious personality like I do. Like, and not with this type of thing, I feel. I mean, yeah, you're right. That I deserve that look because you do. But not all the time.
and
Not in
I
the
don't
tiny things that I have. You know what like I don't know.
yeah, like I some things that really freak me out and that I do get like in regards to like fear is one, when Matt goes out of town and I'm here by myself, I usually do struggle with sleeping. This last time that he went out of town, it was even worse than normal. I think because the first night that he was gone for 2 nights. The first night he was gone, I had a nightmare that was about somebody walking into my house, just like that real life story happened. It was
Oh,
like that kind of a dream. It wasn't even scary. It was just that somebody came into the house unexpected. So
mm-hmm.
then the next night I like couldn't fall asleep because I was like, what if it's a worse dream? It wasn't even that I
Right.
was actually scared anyone would come into the house. It was that I was scared that my nightmare was going to be worse than it
Or
was.
return. Was David home this weekend when he was gone?
No,
They
no,
were
it was just me by
together, huh?
myself. Yeah.
Aw.
Which I've done before, and I usually honestly really do enjoy being by myself. Like I like having the house to myself and being able to watch Grey's Anatomy and whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I like having a night without everyone in the house every once in a while. So I was actually kind of excited that they were leaving together, but then it ended up not being fun at all.
Working out. You're all, I don't really like this anymore.
Yeah, and then the
Yeah.
other thing that does really freak me out is like, especially in the past when I used to work nights, because I used to work, like, I've worked at a movie theater, so then we would get off at like 3 a.m. I've worked at the restaurants with you and stuff. So obviously you're getting out of work later at night, and so
Yeah.
the walking to my car really freaks me out. And also I used to go to school at night too. And so what always really freaked me out too was that there would be somebody in the car already. Like, so
Mm-hmm.
then I would like always check my back seat. I
Do you
always
still
carried
do
my
that?
when was the last time that I went outside at night and got into a car?
You barely leave in the daytime now. When do you leave at
Yeah,
nighttime?
so like I know that I don't really get nervous about it. People sometimes get freaked out about like lifts like Ubers and stuff like that.
Oh, mm-hmm.
Those don't really freak me out. I mean, I always am like, who are you picking up? And I ask for their name to like check that it's like the same name that's on my phone. I
Mm-hmm.
do that. But other than that, I'm not usually really all that freaked out, like, or nervous being in the car.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get really freaked out going to my own car at night,
Mm-hmm.
especially if I'm by myself.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting because I'm definitely that same way. I check my car before I get in it, and I'll make sure that my lights are on. When I get home, because I get home so late, Andre asleep or awake, I will call him and stay in my car turned on with the doors locked and be like, hey, I'm home. Like, turn on the porch light and like wait by the door for me so you know. So So
Mm-hmm.
I can see me and you can see me. And like, also
Mm-hmm.
don't hang up. Like I have a very strict routine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, also don't hang up the phone, because in that split second that you hang up the phone, also something can happen. So just like,
Mm-hmm. I
do
do
these things.
usually do the like if I go out with friends or something, then I usually like I always make my friends tell me when they get home, as well as I'll always tell them, because for one thing, like just driving at night, I'm way more afraid that some car accident is gonna happen than I am that somebody's gonna like steal me on my
Still.
walk to
Mm-hmm.
my apartment. But
Yeah.
sometimes I will like every once in a while get really freaked out being in my apartment complex because my car is down in a garage and it's kind of
Yeah.
just not well lit, and it does sometimes like
Even a
sometimes I get a
stairwell.
heebie-jeebie. Yeah, so sometimes
Yeah.
I will call
Mhm.
a friend that I was with and be like, hi, you're just gonna talk to me till I get to my door.
Yep.
But I almost never call Matt because we both are very much like, sleep, don't wake me during
Don't bother me
it.
unless it's an emergency.
Like an
The real
actual
life
one.
not like
Yeah.
an in-head. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
Mhm.
Andre's very worrisome as well. So like he feels for me. So he
Mhm.
doesn't complain. He's like, okay, whatever. Half
Yeah.
asleep or not. I just snorted. What the heck? I don't do that. Yeah, I currently still watch documentaries though. Like I love the real life watching of a serial killer or like things like
Mhm.
that. Same thing though, I can only watch so many a day, or else I just, not that I get in my head, but I feel like the next couple days I'll have like not night terrors, but I will dream of something of the sort.
Mhm.
And maybe not to the full extent of something bad
Mhm.
happening, but it's just like I don't want it to be there no matter what.
Mhm.
But I still love those. I still listen to like real life podcasts and stuff like that. I don't do much reading though. I don't think I do thriller reading like at all actually. But yeah, it's definitely it's upped my scale on like worrisome. But I
Mhm.
can't stop. I don't know. Sometimes I do pace myself. Like I currently stopped listening to all podcasts, and I mentioned this in a Pour One Out, I think a couple ones back, that like I had just had a really bad night terror. Also
Mhm.
with like this pregnancy, they're like to an extreme. So I haven't been listening or watching anything sad. Like it's all
Yeah.
like romantic movies or chick flicks or Christmas films.
Mhm.
That's all I'm
It's
doing right
not
now.
even Halloween yet.
Okay.
Oh
Check
man.
back in
Yeah.
April.
Yeah, well, I do try sometimes to like theme my entertainment. So it's October. So I have been watching and reading a lot of like what I consider to be scary, which is more like thriller and mystery than it is horror. I just read this book called His and Hers by Alice Feeney, and that one was like kind of a horror film. I mean, a horror movie. What? Horror book, kind of. More like a thriller, but it's like it has three perspectives, and I did listen to it. I love listening to thrillers and stuff like that, even more than I like reading them. So this book has like technically three perspectives, but you don't know who the third one is. So you have the ex-husband and ex-wife, and you don't really know until you start reading it why they're divorced. But he's a cop and she's a news anchor person. And they're both covering this story of this murder, and they may be connected because he has had a recent involvement with her, like sexual, and then she also they worked together. So, or no, they didn't work together, sorry, but she's like covering it. And so then it's just like all of these, like, you don't really get any of the full story because they're all being secretive about the way they tell it. And then on top of that, you have this third perspective that you don't know if the third perspective is one of them or someone else or who, but it's the murderer. Like, it's the killer's perspective. So you're listening. So it's so good. And the way the audiobook did it too was that the murderer's voice was like messed with, so
Like
you can't
messed
even
with.
tell if it's a man or a woman. Like, you just don't
Okay.
know who the murderer is, even though you are listening to it. And it was really well done, and I loved it, but it was really dark. Like, there's
Oh,
a lot that happens in it.
dang. Well, that sounds like a good read, though. It sounds like a really good story because I love those those confusing plot twists where just the whole time you don't know. I'm into
so
that. Thriller or not.
I love thrillers where I eventually do get that that's the murderer, and I like have at least, okay, that probably is it, but like it could be someone else, but then it's in like my thing. This book, I didn't have at all who the murderer was. So when the
final answer was given,
like you think they've given it to you, and then they still didn't give it to you, and then all of a sudden you're reading the murderer's perspective and they finally tell you who they are, and you're just like, what? Like, I re-listened to that part because I was like, how is that who the murderer is?
Y'all, there's no way I missed that.
Yeah, exactly. So that was really good. And I think I read, I definitely read and watch a lot more fiction thrillers than I do documentaries, but we talked about like true crime podcasts in our entertainment episode, and I just recently listened to Root of Evil. It's 8 episodes all about the Black Dahlia murderer.
Okay.
The murder that happened like in the 40s in LA, and it was just like it was
close to home.
Yeah, it was a terrible like murder. Like it's a very gruesome crime scene. She like was split in half, and they like were pretty sure that he was he had to have known some sort of anatomy stuff. So anyways, this whole podcast is about the 2 granddaughters of this guy who after their mom dies, they come into a bunch of evidence that their grandfather is probably the murderer, and it's still to this day not technically solved, but they found a bunch of evidence that like their grandfather is probably the Black Dahlia murderer. And
hold up.
Well,
this is a cold case?
Yeah, it's a cold case. It never was solved, but by the end of all of the evidence that they give you and all of the like history of their family and stuff, the only thing they're waiting for, and they have it, is for the LAPD to test the DNA of the grandfather against the DNA that they have on this cold case. And if they did that, then likely we would find out that this dude was the Black Dahlia murderer. But they just won't do it because they don't have the funds to be dealing with a cold case.
For a guy that's not even alive anymore.
He's not. He's dead.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably where they're like, okay.
But like this is one of the biggest like historical cold cases in like US history.
Yeah.
This is like a huge famous case. You would think that LAPD would want
I would love to listen to that one. So I'm going to have to listen back to our own podcast to remember the name of that, because I love listening to cold cases. Yeah, those are my favorite episodes on Crime Junkie, which we've talked about before on our social media episode. But yeah, I love Crime Junkie, and I love the cold case files ones that they do. I'm just like, but those are the ones that also give me like the chills, because I'm like,
but it's unsolved.
Yeah. It's like, you don't especially when it's close, when like the time frame is like to where that person can still be alive. It's just like, okay, fun times.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes.
See,
that makes me like going into those famous cases too. Like I've been obsessed with like the Charles Manson murders for like since I was in high school. Like I remember reading Helter Skelter. I read it when I was in high school, and then a bunch of movies and documentaries have come out. And honestly, there's a couple. There's one on like Hulu, I think, that I really want to watch. That's like, it's not new anymore, but it's relatively new-ish. Came out within the last like few years. I really want to watch that. I watched the Quentin Tarantino movie that was like about Charles Manson, but they like, I mean, Quentin Tarantino did his own thing and like fictionalized it, but still it was really good. And then I actually re-listened to the audiobook of Helter Skelter like last year.
Yeah.
It's just so, that kind of stuff though is like so dark to like really consider. You're just like, like, I know. That was happening.
Why would you want to put yourself through that? I don't know. We're weirdos. I'm really interested to see when this phase in my life will lift and I will be like, okay to start watching things again. Like, is that going to be when my kids are teenagers and like I'm not
And they might want to watch it
worried and
with you.
well, not even that. I just mean like maybe like I'm still going to be protective of my kids, obviously, but they are more capable of also taking care of themselves. So maybe I'll ease up on my worries.
Yeah,
Or is
maybe.
it something that's always going to be here with me now?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just really interested to see how that's going to go. Or
Mm-hmm.
like I'm about to have a second kid.
Will it get worse? Will it amplify it?
My heart gonna get bigger? Yeah, I'm just like, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
So
I
I'm
know.
interested to
And
see that
talking about our stresses, like for sure, the stresses I have are more like I'm like really terrified, like that Matt will like get in a car accident or will have some sort of like medical, like
situation.
something like I don't know. I
Diagnosis.
don't know what that
Yeah.
means, but just all of that, which is crazy because I love doctor shows. I mean, I'm binging Grey's Anatomy right now for like the 20th time, I swear, maybe even more than that.
But you're getting
And
further than the past times.
oh, I've still seen all of these already.
No. But I'm telling you that you will get further than the last.
That's the goal. I want to actually catch up to like whatever's current. But yeah, so like that's definitely like a bigger fear for me than I don't know, like a
The movie
murderer being
stuff.
in my house or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, and I do really like, it's also interesting that I don't like horror, like that specific genre of horror of like Saw or Hostel, like yeah, that style where you have like a cast of characters and then one by one they die.
Right.
I'm not into that, but I love like really horrific thrillers. Like as far as gore doesn't bother me. It's not about the gore. I don't know how to explain.
No, I mean, Saw's a really good example. I get. Well, I don't know because Saw is also focused on. I know we talked about that in the in one of our episodes because I love Saw, but loved. I don't know, but yeah.
Like this is another one that I wanted to talk about. Girl with a Dragon Tattoo is a fiction book and movie. This story is a murder mystery, and it's like about this guy who is like hired by this very rich man to come to his own private island to do the cold case of where his daughter went like missing years and years ago. And so like she went missing when she was like, I don't know, 11, and then now would be like in her 30s if she's alive. So he's like trying to figure out what the heck happened to her. So he hires this man, and then he brings along this girl who hacked his computer. She's like a hacker. But in the story, we also watch that same girl get horrifically raped, like in detail. We watch that scene. We also watch a like torture scene of her revenge on that person. Yeah. And then we also watch a torture scene at the end of the book with the murderer, like the murderer or the person. I don't even remember if he actually murdered the missing girl, but the person who did it is torturing people later in the book. Like there's graphic content in the book and the film. And I'm fine with that. It's like, I mean, obviously like you get all tense, but I'm not like not willing to watch the movie because of it. So why am I like this?
I know it is really interesting for you to say that because books are way more in detail too, and you get way more in depth and like, I don't know, like my mind would take me so many places. And like a book would be so easy for me to be like, yeah, never mind. We're going to put that away. Versus like seeing it, I feel like I don't know.
I just also don't understand why I don't like horror films when I like that stuff.
Yeah, you're a little weird.
Like why is that the why? What is it that actually bothers me? Because I was like trying to talk about this with my friend recently, actually, when we were talking about that book, His and Hers, because that book has like this really, it has a couple different really graphic scenes actually about a couple different things in it. And so I was talking to her about it, and I was saying like, I didn't mind I mean, it's terrifying and like, you know, it's like upsetting to read, but it made it a good book too. Like it made the murder and the reason behind it and all of that like really good. And why am I like this?
Why do I enjoy these things?
Mm-hmm. But like, I also have, okay, so this other book that I wanted to recommend is just about crime in general, because this book is about a school shooting. So this book takes place in
Real life,
like,
or is it fiction?
fiction, but it takes place in 1 hour, and within the 1 hour you follow 6 different characters who are at the school during the shooting.
Okay.
And so it's like you're reading this, it felt like I was there for that hour, because obviously, like, I mean, it's not that long of a book, but obviously it takes you longer than an hour to read, but it's kind of like that same feeling that a movie gives you when you're like in the moment and you're with them. And it's like so terrifying to consider. And at the time of reading this, I was going to school, I was in college, and it also came out during the time frame when like there was a school shooting like every 5 minutes, I swear.
Yeah.
So I mean, it felt very real, even though this is a fictional story. But I love books like that too. What the heck?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to do that while I'm in a school setting.
I remember I was reading this at school. It freaked me out.
Why would you put yourself in that situation?
I didn't.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to do that.
I was just reading it.
Oh, see, okay, so going back, like now that I have a daughter and I have a kid on the way, I can't watch or listen to anything with a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do it. I'll skip it. I'll just ignore it. I can't. It gives me way too much anxiety. Same thing with that. Why would I want to read a book about a school shooting while I'm in school? No thanks.
Mm-hmm.
And
another, like, not fun, that's the wrong word, but another story that I do find really entertaining and I do gravitate towards are any sort of story that's about like sexual assault. So even if it happens like after the fact, like the story starts after the sexual assault has occurred, but a lot of times the stories that I do like to read will give you a flashback and you do read the sexual assault, and like sexual assault is one of my biggest fears. And especially a few years ago when I was in, like, right now I feel like I don't have any fear, because what's scary? I live in my house and I never leave it. So there's not a lot of opportunity for scary things to happen, I guess.
Yeah.
But when I was like working in the service industry and going to school and all of that stuff, like the fear feels a little bit more realistic, I guess.
You're out there more. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But even with that, I love that sounds so gross. Like, oh, I love a good rape story. Ew, that's terrifying. But I do find those books really well done. Yeah.
Right.
So why am I like that?
We've said that a lot this episode.
I don't know why I like things that are scary or that like are scary to me also.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have an answer for you because I think the same way.
I guess that's true, yeah.
I've stopped.
Do you have one, I think this is like my last question that I have off the top of my head about this topic, but like, is there any one like true crime either type like Umbrella or like one crime like Charles Manson that you're just like gravitating towards as far as or
no, I don't.
Other than the cold cases, I guess, where you like to.
No, like I recently started listening to documentaries and cold cases. So like, again, I can't tell you one thing that's really stuck to me. And when I say recently, it's been within the past 2 years. Well, obviously my daughter's 3 years old, so I don't listen to it that often to where I don't know enough or I haven't heard enough. True. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So no, I don't have an answer for you because I don't have one. I don't have one that's like always like, oh my gosh, like Ted Bundy or like Charles Manson. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That
makes sense.
Okay, so I got a quote today, and it's very simple, but it kind of ties with the fact of Cassie and I were texting before this, and this episode is going to come out on November 9th. Is that what I said?
Yeah.
Which is obviously after Halloween, but I feel like all of this is kind of like that Halloween scary vibe-ish. So I just got this, and the quote is, "It's all just a bunch of hocus pocus," and I like that. So
yay.
very simple, like like it's all just a bunch of hocus pocus.
And like
the real ones, it's like just don't let it get in your head.
Yeah, don't let it get in your head. And I also do think there has to be some sort of like psychological reason why we as humans are really intrigued or interested in hearing about scary things that happen to other humans. Like there has to be a reason for that. So like maybe it's like the magic of our psychology. I don't know. The hocus pocus of it.
Yeah. Ooh, which is interesting. Like to hear you say that, I'm like, ooh, there's like something in our head that's wrong with us.
Maybe it's a survival instinct. Like we want to hear about different things that have happened to, like scary things that have happened to other people. So that we know what to do and what to expect, and maybe
how to react.
Consider how to react. Yeah, exactly.
100% right. Because I do a lot of those things now. Like I'm always on the phone with someone if I'm walking in the dark. I make sure a couple people have my location on my phone. I do that. Like, there's, so yeah, you're right. I like that. I like that idea. I'm thinking I'm a psychopath myself.
I mean, maybe we are psychopaths also. I don't know. Could be.
Maybe. We're all just a little bit crazy. Isn't that another quote?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. All right. Well, that's the end. So make sure that you're following us on all of our different platforms. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please rate and review us. It would really help us out. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button and like this video. Leave us comments down below if you have any suggestions for video ideas or anything like that. And you can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Girls Who Gab _, as well as our personal accounts, all of which are linked in the link trees down below and wherever you're listening or watching.
Yes. So and now that's it. And now we can cheers.
Yay. I know, my tea is empty. Whoops.